Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 226 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak, with ACG.
We don't have any special guests this week. We hope you are all doing well. Karak, how are you, my friend?
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent. Relaxing. Doing Call of Duty. Oh, shoot. One of these next couple days or next couple podcasts, we need to talk about Call of Duty.
We could talk about that when we go to the What We're Playing section.
Oh, What We're Playing?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we got that covered. We will be talking some Call of Duty this episode. I've been playing a lot of different things, so I'm looking forward to that segment. Anyway, to those who are new, we have a lot of new listeners on the channel. We welcome you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us your time. Everyone's got a podcast nowadays, so we do appreciate those of you who give ours a listen. Anyway, sure. We run this show every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or if you want early access, you can join up on the Patreon and flick us a buck. If you do so, you will get early access to the show on Fridays, a couple more bucks, get involved in the Discord, great community there. You can also submit your questions for this show. We have a bunch listed throughout this entire episode. You guys really went crazy this week. It was ridiculous, man. There was a ton of questions, so some of these news topics we might fly through. I'm sure you'll understand. But anyway, those are just a couple of ways that you can get involved in the show if you'd like to support us. Keep supporting what we're doing here. Karak also has a Patreon. It'll be linked in the description down below, as it always is. Is there anything you'd like to promote that's going on over there? Or is it just business as usual?
This Saturday, we're watching, and I know you're not into this as much because you haven't done as much martial arts lately, but we're doing a UFC where we get everybody in the Discord and do a UFC
for the
chat.
Diaz fight, right?
Yeah, and we all watch it. You know, you buy it, and then we all go into a group and watch it together. And that's always that's turned out to be a blast because it's not games. You know, sometimes it's cool to not be arguing over something or whatever, and instead you're just watching people fight or something like that. So absolutely. I'm excited for that. Very excited.
Good. All right, so make sure you give Karak your support, your love, whatever you want. And we don't have much in the terms of introduction. I guess for those who are listening, I'll put it out on social media by now, but I will be announcing my my secret project finally this coming Monday. For those of you listening on a Sunday, it'll be tomorrow. I'm really excited, but I'm also really nervous about it. But I think people are really going to like what I have to show. So I have all of that together finally, and it's good to reveal. So very excited, but outside of that, nothing really on the horizon, just a lot of discussions about the Outer Worlds Bethesda, just kind of been bouncing back and forth between those two. Anything content-wise people should be looking at your channel for?
I can't talk about one thing, unfortunately. And it's not a big thing, but there's one game that I have an embargo and for whatever reason, not allowed to even talk that you have the game.
Weird.
Not a huge one. Yeah, it's that kind of shit. And then I want to cover Need for Speed Heat. So I'm reaching out to them. I've reached out to them a couple times. One. So as tough as in impossible for me, but I'm still trying. So that would be the one, one or two things to look forward to.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we got a loaded list of news, so let's get it started with Bethesda. It's kind of been the highlight on the channel as of lately. I've been trying to continue to apply any form of pressure I can with my platform to what I think is a really poor service with Fallout First. I kind of explained in a recent video how I don't care if it exists, but more so I just care about the price it exists at currently. And so we're going to be going over the way Bethesda plans on expanding. So for those of you who have watched the video, you'll probably already know, but for those who haven't, a brief way to catch you up right here. So pretty much there was a leak through data mining, which happens with every single update with Fallout 76, so people always know what's coming with this game. It's been happening since it first came out, and I think people were finding like team deathmatch files inside the game. So sometimes it ends up being something, most times it is, but sometimes it doesn't. So I guess you could take this all with a grain of salt, but within these files, we saw the Ranger the Ranger armor that came with Fallout First, and the description said this is included in your Fallout First membership. And then someone found in the files multiple renditions of this Ranger armor, meaning that based off a leak that came out separately, Bethesda may be planning to just monthly send out different skins or armor.
Oh, gotcha.
And then on top of that, there was another file that was mined, which was I think it was a weird looking camo skin that you could put on your armor, and it said this offer is exclusive to Fallout First members, which meant that there are going to be offers in the Atomic Shop. Once again, this corroborates with a leak separate from this data mining, but pretty much there will be exclusive offers in the Atomic Shop now for Fallout First members. And when you combine that with the free items they're being given, and then Bethesda pushing towards more, quote, utility items, they call it, end quote, and the free items, like I said, it's just not a really pretty picture that's being painted here. So that's the general synopsis of how Bethesda plans to expand Fallout First. Still no official addressing of the response and maybe potential changes. I guess sometimes it's better not to say something and then have to backtrack that, but instead wait for a plan to be in place. But at least an acknowledgement of some of the Fallout First backlash would be a good starting point. Bethesda actually released, like they do with every patch, it's called Inside the Vault. And patch 14 introduced Fallout First, and Bethesda did not acknowledge the existence of Fallout First at all, which does not bode well. So with that general wrap-up, Karak, what are you thinking about Bethesda's moves lately and their expansion of Fallout First?
So, okay, explain to me real quick the reason why people are not happy about the store, the skin in the store. You explained that there's this, and I'm not catching on exactly what the issue there is.
One is you sign up for the program and you get it. Another is you sign up and it's an offer exclusive to you. Only if you're in this program you can purchase it, kind of thing.
Oh, you mean you don't get it free? Only if you're in the program will it show up in your store?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay, because originally I was going to be like, people are freaking out about nothing, but that's weird.
Yeah.
So if you...
Like, you know those grocery stores where you sometimes have to have their card to shop there?
Yeah, right.
Kind of like that.
Oh, yeah. I guess they're just trying to... That's not even adding value to First. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what they're doing ever, though. Even when I see their stuff, I'm just like, what the fuck? I didn't even know that. That's just really
It's been
odd.
a quiet leak, and I think it's because a lot of people were initially mad about just it existing, and like the internet is, they kind of just go away for a little bit, and if Bethesda does something publicly again that's stupid, that's when
then it pops up.
Yeah, and so like I said, this leak has kind of gone on quietly because I don't think people care as much about what's in Fallout First. They just know Fallout First sucks. But I more so wanted to talk about it again in the podcast, aside from my video, just because I feel like for this to exist and for it to continue to evolve with no comment or addressing of the backlash, I just find it a little bit concerning. You know, and like I always say, I don't think Bethesda needs to cancel the service, just like I didn't think they need to cancel Creation Club. Like, these two programs could be great ideas if priced fairly, quite honestly. That's like the biggest plague of Bethesda is they are historically bad at pricing things. Like the items in the Atomic Shop, overpriced. Creation Club, overpriced.
Dude, it's like they've taken Australia's prices, but then popped them on to us. You know how Australia is always like $60 versus 80? It's almost like the person doing their math is over there, and they're like 80, and so they're like, okay. And you're just like, damn, that's a lot, man.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's been going on with Bethesda. And I thought, not really in an act of spite, but a lot of the conversation between Fallout, Bethesda, and their future has always tied, as of lately, to the Outer Worlds. And so we have a question here from JK1107, who asks, if Obsidian decides to develop a sequel for the Outer Worlds, what are you hoping to see? And what are you hoping they improve upon? Like I said, I thought this could tie in nicely just because the discussion seemingly always leads there nowadays, because people just want to see Bethesda go back to making those style of games. So, Karak, we've both finished this game. I'm in the middle of a second playthrough right now.
Are you doing Supernova?
I'm doing it on hard right now, just because this is kind of like my mess around playthrough, and I'm saving Supernova for like a video or two. And so I have yet to dive into that aspect, but is there anything you were hoping to see in a sequel, or something they can improve upon for a sequel?
Yeah. I apologize.
No, I was just gonna say I know it's a little soon, but it's always fun to get these balls rolling.
They could fix the HUD, hiding elements of the HUD. You either hide it all or a couple elements, and I like to play with like a minimal HUD.
I agree.
And it's sort of messy, and so when you turn it off, strangely enough, not only does it turn off the HUD and everything, but even interaction prompts when you get close to something. It's very, it would be nice like Ubisoft games where you can go in and dial that in. You can just be like, I want this to alert, I want that. That would be fixed. Up close attacking should be improved. I think a lot of people pretend that every other game's up close weapons like swords and stuff are magically amazing. They're really not. They're, most of them are not super strong, but I would like to see Outer Worlds improved. It never felt great, using the light sword. Or the science. I got one of the science hammer or whatever. And it was just like, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't great. And then, you know what? Honestly, no. I would not want them to make it. This is going to sound weird. I would love for them to do another title with a quick turnaround like this where it wasn't open world. It was still hub. And it was just more in the same world. Same system, the Halcyon system. And instead of going, now we're doing 10, NPC or party members. Now we're doing, instead, I would almost rather have it be like a Mass Effect 2 where you go into it, it takes your save. And it's just sort of new places to go. It would be fun to continue that story and not blow it out of proportion. I don't want to. I hope to God they're not like, "Hey, open world," and you're just like, "Here we go."
I completely agree. I hope they don't lose the picture when they do make a sequel for this game, because I know some have sat there and gone like, "Oh, it's too small" or whatever. I mean, for God's sakes, we are spoiled when we're complaining that a 30, 40-hour game is too small. But yeah, I just think...
I don't know about you. What'd you think of the length? I thought it was...
I loved it. I loved it. And I don't even say that because it's my profession, because I know sometimes we all get caught up in the conversation if we got to bounce between so many games that it's nice when one's shorter. But genuinely speaking, like, when I was in high school, I liked when games were much longer. But as you get older and I feel your thoughts start to develop on gaming, you start to realize, like, it's not just about, like, how long can I spend my time on this game. It is, like, my time spent good. And I like a game that respects my time, but in the Outer Worlds, it wasn't plagued by an issue that a lot of RPGs suffer from nowadays, which is that it's so big that you can hop in and feel like you got nothing done.
Yeah, exactly.
The Outer Worlds, I could play for 2 hours during my review period and feel like, okay, I made some progress. I did this, that. And
there was a lot going on.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Like it was perfect for the amount of time, with the amount of enemies, with the amount of storylines and quests. It felt full, and it was 1 to 30 and then done. Yeah. And to me, that was perfect.
Yeah, I just think, like, if they're going to increase things, increase the permutations. I really like how in the Outer Worlds, in the beginning of the game, you can't just pick, like, one or the other, but you can also, like, pick one side and then do some political work and change the leader of a town, kick someone else out. Like, there's just extra layers, and if they could go deeper with that stuff, I would much prefer that type of focus rather than them saying, let's blow it open and go open world. Because I think they had a good mixture. Like, Monarch felt semi-open world. Like, it felt like that was the open world-ish area. And I like that. If you're going to do stuff like cut out some loading screens, so instead of when you go to Fallbrook, there's a load screen, you can just open a big door or a gate and you're in a new town. Yeah, that stuff would be great. That's like a quality of life improvement. But if I wanted things to improve, I guess I've been back and forth on this. I had a discussion with a viewer back when the game first launched about this. I guess I would maybe want the skill system to improve, because what happens is, like, you'll put a point into speech and it kind of makes sense in that regard, because now your persuasion, lie, and intimidate have gone up because your ability to speak is better. But then there's ones like you'll increase tech and now your medical, your engineer, and I think something else goes up. And obviously once you hit 50, you start focusing more. But it doesn't change that in the early game. You can't just say, like, I'm going to be a pistol-toting medic. It's like you're going to be decent at everything until about halfway in, and then it's going to sort of narrow your choices a little bit.
And that's what I brought up with you and Mallory about the attributes doing the same thing. Yeah. You can't make the super dumb character, because they're going to have, like, engineering be good. And you're just like, that doesn't make... Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I want a guy who just stumbled into life.
Yeah, it's good for skill checking. It does what it needs to do right. It's just that I think the grouped skill system is something that over time will hurt the legacy of the game. I think now people like it. I still like it a lot. It's still far leagues better than most shit we see, but I think it's something that when people start hopping back in, I've already noticed a lot of different stuff in my playthrough, so I don't know how much that also matters. But I've also realized with this game, like you know how sometimes you get grayed out conversation options if your skill's almost there. I've noticed sometimes that it's not like always there, just showing you. It's like as if your skill is close, then it'll do it. Because I talked to someone in my first playthrough. I was actually editing a video and I saw that conversation. And then I was playing the game, and because my sneak was higher, I had a sneak option that was still grayed out, but because it wasn't high enough. But I noted that it had popped up because I was close to it. So that's stuff that I think can still go over people's heads when we start critiquing the game more as its life goes on. But I think, these are things that ultimately don't make it a worse game. I think, it has a very distinct focus and goal, and it accomplishes it. I just ultimately, if anything, I don't want them to change much. Like, sure, make combat a little bit better, but ultimately, don't go too overkill with the world size. That's all I'm asking. Man, your dogs are just sounding off.
Dude, somebody just knocked.
Go for it.
Whoa. Somebody knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I have a sign now that says "Do not knock on the door."
Oh my gosh! And
I apologize. They're freaking.
No, you're fine.
Ouch,
you're fine.
Man.
If you got to go handle them, I can start the next topic. It's no problem.
Well, the thing is if I hang on.
Oh man!
Okay. Can you hear me when I say shut up?
The first one I heard where you were like,
okay,
I
tried to turn it down. I apologize. I was gonna say about Outer Worlds too. I think it doesn't make it a worse game. It like if these kind of issues are just like it's not a 10. Mm-hmm. It's like for some people it might be an 8 or a 9 or whatever. And overall, we could see some improvements, but I would love to see just a continuation in the world.
I agree.
I just think that would be great.
I agree.
I really enjoyed my time.
I just think limitations allow them to sort of focus on certain aspects of the game.
All right, I'll be right back.
No, you're
Continue.
Good. For those listening, I think that these limitations, the reason we don't want it to go big is because if it starts to open up too much, then you might lose some of those, wow, that was quick. You might lose some of those flavorful quests that pop up because I feel like they'll be more spread out. Part of the great part of the Outer Worlds is that it sort of hits you hard almost immediately with great writing and great quests. And I feel like if Obsidian starts to spread itself too thin, it just might do more of a disservice to them and the game as well as the series. I know they have money, but spend it in the right areas, right? Like spend it on more voice actors, spend it on more quests. Don't expand the world, I guess. Just fill out what's there. Add more planets. That's fine, but I don't think going open world would be good for them. Let's talk about Death Stranding, Karak. Reviewing the reviews of Death Stranding. So, as Mike Fury noted, and Mike Fury sounded off with 1,000,001 questions this episode, enough to make my head spin. I tried to include as many as I could, but obviously we want to get other people involved. This isn't the Mike Fury show. He knows that. But he says, with Death Stranding at an 84 on Metacritic, will it make enough noise to be in the Game of the Year conversation? And will we play this game? So I believe the Metacritic might be a little bit lower than that. At the time he wrote this comment, it was accurate, but I remember seeing a friend of mine say like it was an 81.
I'll check.
Yeah, you go ahead and check. But overall, Death Stranding, we have not played it. Karak and I both requested review codes, and we both received the same response as to why we could not get the game, which was that they were out of codes pretty much. And that's something we've heard before, but to me, I kind of like scoffed a little bit when I'm going to name names. When I watched the Kind of Funny Games cast and I saw like 6 of them talking about all of their progress in game, I was like, okay, so we gave one outlet 6 codes instead of, I don't even care if it was me, but like you guys didn't think it'd be smart to spread the wealth a little bit and get as many people playing and talking about the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it'll sell fine no matter what. Just, I thought it was fucking weird. So anyway, did you get a chance to see the full-on Metacritic?
I did. 84. It is actually still at 84.
Okay, so Must have been something I missed then. All right, so I know we don't do number scores, but I guess that's our only major talking point here to gauge other people's opinion. We've noted it's been a little bit more polarizing. Are you surprised by that? I'm personally not, but let's just hear your thoughts generally on the scores, what's been going on, and if you're interested in playing.
No, that's the exact score I guessed it'd be. So
right,
it was that's pretty much what I figured is you'd have some people who 100, 65, but that 85 would be what its meta ended up, and it was 85 all morning. Then it went to 84. So I guess I was right for a little bit of time. But I think overall, I think the biggest issue, and I brought this up in another podcast, but the biggest issue I have is that I'm seeing a lot of threads, not just comments, but full threads on various forums saying, after watching multiple reviews, I still have no clue why anybody likes it, or why anybody dislikes it, or what the game really is. And there was a lot of crouching discussion where you sort of crouch behind the defense of saying two things. One, if the game's not for you, you know, or the game may not be for you, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's pretty much an idiotic thing to say, because no game's for everybody. Like, that's sort of a defense, especially if you don't give context of, you know, who might like it. Just because you say this game might not be for you.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. It's not
review.
for everybody, but they don't say who it's for.
They don't say who it's for. And then the other one it really bothered me, and I'll just admit it bothered me because I've never really seen it ever come up. And the people I've talked to who played it have even admitted it really shouldn't come up, is I've seen a lot of people say, I like it, but I don't know why. Or I don't like it, and I don't know why. And I have to say, it's pretty easy to, and I posted in your Discord as well as mine, Adam Sessler, who reviewed Last of Us. And I think he's very good at describing things that are art house style, you know, independent style.
Right.
I'm sorry, but you really should never be saying that. Unless you're saying it to prove a point. Like, in a fun factor section, I might say, listen, I know I've explained a bunch of issues. I like it, and I don't know why, but I think here's why. But what's going on in a lot of the ones I read and watched, it was more like, I don't know. And then what that does is it leads the discussion into a really uncomfortable spot, which is, are the good reviews paid for? Which is the first post I saw on a thread, and the thread's like 18 pages now. And the second is, when people dislike it, they just hate Kojima. And it's like, that to me indicates not either one of those. It indicates that the review didn't contain the data that somebody could draw a correlation between. I don't care about the score, you know that. Like,
yeah.
I say it's a buy, but that doesn't, you know, you should listen to the review or read the review from somebody. But that indicates to me that they didn't, for a lot of people, they're not getting the data they need to even know why. And once I read and watched some of these, I would agree that they're very nebulous.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, I was watching some of them, and I kind of just chuckled a little bit at the same thing of people telling me I like it, but I don't really know how to describe it. I'm just like, you know, I look at it as this game was in people's hands stupidly early. Like, this embargo is lifting a week before launch, and people had the game for weeks before that.
Weeks, yeah.
Like, you had so much time to develop your thoughts and put at least a guess onto why. Because I saw people able to understand and explain why you wouldn't like it. I saw people saying it's a lot of point A, point B, traversal, empty world, not much going on, very story heavy, long cutscenes, but like just emptiness in the gameplay. And I think it's because people are very surprised that someone who pretty much pioneered the stealth genre, right, could not put together a competent, exciting, entertaining gameplay system. I genuinely sit in the camp of, like, I think some people were just dumbfounded. That they were just like, oh shit, like this, there really isn't anything
like
to this
maybe
gameplay.
Something is going to happen and then nothing happened the entire way through, and they're like, maybe I missed something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it can. I could see them being what's the term? Like nervous about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt the heat with this review. I don't know, because I know for sure if I were reviewing the game, I'd be mentally prepared for people to just like blast me either way, because you know there's
because no matter what you score this, you're gonna get hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And as a reviewer, that's where you just hit your acceptance point and you go, all right, kind of one of those, I'm fucked either way, so I'm just putting it out there, and if you love it or hate it, this is what I think. But yeah, man, I just feel like it's weird because it's almost like the review system let us down. I just feel like it confirmed my beliefs of it was a hard sell, which I made a video about, and people were like, no, it absolutely still is a hard sell. It confirmed my beliefs when watching the Tokyo Game Show gameplay that there's not much happening in this world, that it literally is going point A to point B, and there is no depth in this post-apocalyptic postman escapade. It's just, it's I think half of the battle too is it's exactly what it looked like in many ways.
Right.
Like, it wasn't this, oh, there are camps and you can take people out or some shit. I think there actually might do that in the game, but there wasn't that surprise depth that I think people were looking for.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I do know there's progression systems. I do know that things build up. There's more ways to travel to do your deliveries, but fuck me if that sounds so fucking uninteresting. I'm sorry. I'll give it a shot because I've certainly talked my share of shit. I got to now, but...
Mike Williams from US Gamer, I've had him on the channel. I very much like the way he explains things. He's pretty tactful, it's just rat-a-tat-tat. Like, I know what he's saying and what he's thinking. And I read his Twitter, and it was funny because his was the clearest, and he hasn't beat it, but he stated, I like the Zen-like just moving around this world and sort of seeing this poster. And to me, in that short sentence, I was like, okay, I at least know, like, and he said more, but I got from his, I was like, okay, I'm seeing why he likes it at least. There was a bullet point of, I like this. I did find that with the reviews that didn't like it, it was easier to understand why they didn't, because I think when you're critical, you check it off, right? Bad HUD and Outer Worlds or whatever.
But when you like something, sometimes it's just a system happening. It's unfolding in front of you.
Yeah. And that's why I even tweeted to Adam Sessler, and I was like, I will pay you money to review this. Like, I will give you cash, because he is very good at art house. And the thing is, and I did write a long email to all my patrons, but I was like, one of my problems with this is there was a very cool art study where an artist put up a piece of paper on a wall as art in a gallery. And a bunch of pretentious people showed up and were like, I see a duck flying across blah, blah, blah. And it happened for 2 weeks. And then he came out and said, no, you don't. You see a piece of paper. It's just, this is to prove how pretentious you are. And it feels like there's a pretentiousness, or the game's so artful people can't describe stuff they should be able to describe. For example, satisfaction's hard to describe. I brought this up before. There's certain feelings. I know what anger feels like. I know what frustration feels like. There are some emotions that are harder to describe, like satisfaction, because that could be, physical, like sexual. It could be mental. It could be finishing a boss in Dark Souls, and you feel satisfaction in doing that. However, a lot of times the ones I was reading or watching, the term satisfaction would just stop. There wasn't here's satisfaction because
it's almost because, like, I don't want to assume too much, but it's just like, as far as we know, the gameplay system is delivering packages. Do you say the satisfaction was when I delivered the latest postal? Like,
well, that's why I think Mike explained it right.
A sense of completion.
Like Mike said the satisfaction and the Zen-like, almost, Japanese garden kind of thing. I got that. I was like, okay, that actually worked for me.
You can put the pieces together. Like, you can see the world, it's open.
And I could see the idea of what he was saying, but a lot of them that I listened to or watched, it was very... And I personally believe that most of the ones I watched or saw should have been able to do that, because they have in past ones. So, and I talked to 2 people who reviewed it and asked them, and they were like, no, that's just... It wasn't it wasn't an issue with the embargo or whatever, which is pretty crazy. But they were like... Because I asked them, I was like, is that a issue with the embargo? I've seen this. And they were like, no, it's just sort of the way I felt.
So was it limiting like details people could give?
It was limiting how far you can show, and it was limiting how you could still say details, but there is a pretty big change a ways into it. And
there
was that.
That's what a lot of people were saying.
They still could have described even that. For example, and I saw your tweet, and I haven't seen this, by the way, but I saw your tweet that somebody said it gets good 10 hours in, or what did you say?
I actually have one of the examples right in front of me. This comes from CNET. I don't have a name to attach to this review, but it says, I just screenshotted this brief paragraph. It says, but then I'd say around 15 hours in, something weird happens that my lizard brain, in an attempt to somehow make sense of the time spent brainlessly trudging through this universe, none of that's positive, by the way, slowly began to convince me I was enjoying the experience. I'd then say by 20 to 30 hours, I was in the full grip of a powerful Stockholm syndrome. Not only was I enjoying the brain-dead labor of Death Stranding's endless, grueling fetch quests, but my internal dialogue was lauding them with hyperbolic praise. I was in love.
Okay, well, there are games like that, that I mean, you could compare it to like MMOs with like daily, dailies or whatever, and people like them anyway, and you can't figure out why.
Yeah.
Games
I guess
games
MMOs,
grind or whatever.
dailies, if that's our example, would work, in my opinion, because it's like, oh, okay, you're progressing your character. So this one would probably be progressing the world. Do you care about the world?
Yeah, traveling deeper into the world.
Yeah.
Again, I personally believe it would have been easy to say the exploration of the world is one of the highlights of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you give the context to where you're headed. Again, we're going to have to see once everybody gets hands-on with it. It's difficult to really know exactly what the issues were, but at least the people I talked to didn't really seem to think that something magically. It's almost like what you just not you, but what CNET wrote is that Stockholm's pretty harsh. That's a pretty harsh thing to say. You know what Stockholm syndrome is?
Yeah.
It's and so that's pretty harsh to say. That's pretty raw, but you know how it is so first of all, no game should take more than an hour to get started. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
But I would say there are games I've played where like there was something there I enjoyed.
Yeah, like
but I don't know if I'd say a game's worth buying because of that. But I would mention that fun
someone gave me a good example. They were like, Matt, what's the difference between this and Persona? Like, you're quick to say like, oh, Persona starts slow, but it gets really good. I'm like, first of all, number one, the developers of Persona don't tell you wait 30 hours, it gets good.
Right.
But number two is that Persona, there's a story, there's a world you're interacting with, there's gameplay elements that they're teaching you. All these elements, by the way, can be applied to Death Stranding. I just think, quite honestly, Persona would offer a lot more. So there's a lot more pulling your attention. So an hour
and I don't feel it took 10 hours, Matty.
No, it did
Persona.
Not. It took
not
maybe,
even close.
It would take 2.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
At most.
Yeah, and so the difference, too, is like in that first hour, maybe you're learning about the world. Like any game, that's fine. That first hour is fine. Hour 2, you're now in a dungeon. So now you're exploring. Then you're out of the dungeon. They're showing you a social link. Like, it's the way the elements are rolled out. And it sounds like with Death Stranding, sort of what you see is what you get. And then those systems build, and it's like, but you're still delivering, right? Like, it's still the same thing, just you're doing it in different ways. Which I don't know if that's terribly exciting. Which brings us to a good question still from Mike Fury, because we did talk about whether or not we plan on playing it. But we didn't really talk about, will this game make enough noise to be in the conversation for Game of the Year? This is going to be a weird one because 84, as far as I'm concerned, does not sit in that Game of the Year chatter. But we know Jeff Keighley's relationship with Hideo Kojima. Jeff Keighley does not pick, by the way, what games are in the Game of the Year talk. But on the same side, man, like it's up to the people who vote.
Do you know who's on that list, Matty? Who vote?
Oh God, let's hear.
Jeff Gerstmann, who hates the game.
Oh boy.
And I mean hates it. Like he in his podcast, he's like, it is absolute shit. So I don't know. I have no clue if it'll be. I didn't realize he meant the game awards. I thought he meant ours.
I guess I just view that as the more, I don't want
right.
to say definitive, but the bigger game award show that like,
I
think it's that and DICE. Those are the two that really catch my eyes for awards. Personally, I can't speak for everyone else. I see this being in the talks just because of its namesake, its popularity. Score-wise, as far as I'm concerned, if they do this, then it's going to create a whole conundrum because there's so many 84s that pass by. That 84 is a great score. It's a great score by every stretch, but that's not like Game of the Year status. Like The Outer Worlds, I think, was an 85 or an 86. I love The Outer Worlds, but personally, I don't know if it should be up for Game of the Year. It's my personal Game of the Year, but I don't know if it's a Game of the Year. Like that's reserved for titles like Resident Evil 2, we'll say. like a very complete AAA experience. And that's coming from someone who's not like I like the game, but I'm not like I love it, you know. So stuff like that.
And every person who votes Game of the Year did get this game. That's another difference. Some of the people who vote Game of the Year wouldn't have got some of the games we may have played.
Mm-hmm. True.
And so you have that as well, where
sure.
If your sample size is smaller, then the definition of like what is a number one game could go, your score requirement could go down. I'm sure it'll be in there, but I mean, it's an art house style game, so I could see somebody being like, yeah, man, this fucking block of wood is the greatest thing ever. Yeah. But I don't know if all the people, and from what I've seen, if it's a group of people at any company, multiple ones don't like it. So I don't see how it would win, just because I think when they vote, there's so many people who don't, that I don't see it popping up. And it seems to me like the people who don't really don't, if that makes sense. Like, at least the couple I've seen.
One extreme or the other, as far as I've seen. I've seen, I think, 1-7, which I would define as a very in the middle of the road type of review. Sure. Like, I like some things, I don't like some things. But for the most part, it's been like, he nailed it. The team nailed it. They did it. And then other people are like, what the? Like, this is really boring. Like, I did not like this. It's really bogged down. But the general consensus for those who do care about Death Stranding is that the story is pretty good. I think most reviews I've read, even for the people who didn't like it, were like, yeah, the story kept me pretty attached. I also heard, I think the embargo apparently said, like, please don't review the game until you complete it.
Yes.
Because, yeah, which, you know.
They for sure said that.
Yeah, which is good. I think that should be a standard in all reviews. But just know, ladies and gentlemen, for most who are reviewing the game, I imagine they actually did complete it. And they certainly had the fucking time.
And it was also done because of the switch that happens later.
Gotcha.
Because Sony was very adamant that you don't review it prior to the big reveal and the stuff that's occurring.
Gotcha.
Which is a 3 chapter. I think it's 3 or 4. In fact, I think it's 3 chapters in, which is why after chapter 3 you're not able to show stuff.
Makes sense.
So yeah, it's a weird embargo too.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our next topic, where we're going to dive into some Ubisoft. So allow me to just fire in the timestamp here and get us an article. They have 5 games in development for next-generation consoles. That means the Xbox Scarlet, the PlayStation 5. This information comes from Engadget. During a recent earnings call, Ubisoft CEO and co-founder Yves Guillemot announced that the publisher... I feel like everyone always tries to say his name in a funny way, and I apologize for that. You're a normal guy with a normal name. Announced that the publisher is working on 5 games for Microsoft's next Xbox console, according to Game Informer. 3 of the 5 titles are Watch Dogs Legion, Gods and Monsters, and Rainbow Six Quarantine. Quarantine, which will be released on both the Xbox One and upcoming Xbox, which is codenamed Scarlet. Okay, so 3 of those games we already know of. They were the ones that received a delay. We covered this last week, how Ubisoft bumped them all back to ensure quality. They took a big hit in their stocks, but they told their investors, hey, look, you know, we're going to try to get a return on investment here by making sure these are the highest of quality. So since we kind of extensively discussed, I can't speak this podcast. I'm so tired. I do apologize, everybody. But since we've extensively discussed this, let's look into what these 2 missing games could be. Now, I think one's pretty obvious. It's got to be the new Assassin's Creed game that leaked previously, the Ragnarok one that I think was supposed to be based off Vikings.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Okay. And do you have any ideas of what maybe another one could be, like Splinter Cell?
Yeah, I mean... That's the thing about Splinter Cell, is there's the VR supposedly title and a couple other things coming for Splinter Cell, but that would be my guess. It would just be my guess because that's probably what I want. You know, I could also see them doing, and I know this might feel early for people. Well, they probably wouldn't do a For Honor 2, but I know For Honor has done well for them when they've repaired it now.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are really liking that it doesn't feel like a Ubisoft game. That was brought up a couple days ago where people are like, listen,
yeah, it's fun.
They get shit for being the same. Like Far Cry feels like Breakpoint, but they're like, dude, really, that game doesn't feel like their other games.
It's completely separate.
Yeah. So, which I think they deserve kudos for that. And I would like to see them do a sequel to that, but I don't think it will. I think Splinter Cell is the only one that really makes sense to me overall. I just don't know how it's sold. Like, I don't know if it's got the... You and I may want it. I just don't know if it's got the commercial.
I don't know how much I really want it. Like, I liked Blacklist a lot. Blacklist was very good, but, like, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my god, more Splinter Cell, please. Like, I liked it and kind of moved on. But then again, I'm very partial to how Dishonored is as a stealth series. Maybe it's something with first person. Thief, great series. So I guess I like more first person in my stealth.
No, that makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah, but that does not mean that I would be unhappy if it were a Splinter Cell, because Blacklist was fantastic. It was like replayable and how you could explore the levels. So I'd love to see what Ubisoft could do all these years later. I'm more excited at the idea of Assassin's Creed though on next gen consoles. I do wonder if they're going to do the split like they did last year. For those who don't recall, when Xbox One and PS4 launched, they did the Unity and Rogue, I think it was called, split. And one was for the last gen consoles, one was for the next gen consoles. Unity, when I reviewed it, was not like, I didn't have any issues with that game. It's the weirdest thing ever. And like no one actually ragged on me for my review, because you could tell how genuine I was. Like, yeah, I really like this game. It was really fun. Like, and I went through a whole breakdown of it all. And then I just see all these like awful bugs coming out, and it's like, what happened? What did I play? Because I remember my friend bought the game based off my recommendation. He was like, dude, like, I can't even hear things. Like, my sound keeps cutting out. Like, he quit the game and everything. But yeah, so I wonder if they'll split it. I personally don't think, but that's always another possibility. It could just be like 2 Assassin's Creed games. That'd be really interesting. Although they did say next gen, but you know. Any of those games on the list excite you from what we know? I'm saying, because we saw like Gods and Monsters, Quarantine, Legion.
Other than Gods and Monsters, I haven't been impressed or like drawn to that. But all the others, yes, very much so. Legion, very much so.
I'm surprised Gods and Monsters didn't catch your attention, just because it's by the people who made Odyssey, and it's got like the Greek mythology implementation there. It's kind of, and it's very like Breath of the Wild-esque, so it just seems like a good type of different that we were just talking about.
I'm just not a fan of Breath of the Wild.
No, gotcha. That's understandable.
And I'm not a fan of the graphics mostly of that I saw for Gods and Monsters. The graphics are just something about them doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't mean it won't appeal to me as a game. I've played multiple games that like I'm like, oh, graphically this isn't my thing. Artistically, I should say, because people. Matter of fact, that popped up in your Discord yesterday. Somebody was like, "What's the best looking game?" And I'm like, "Whoa, technically or artistically?" Because those are not the same thing a lot of times.
Point. So. Yeah, because like for me, you know, Fortnite, Dauntless, like that art style.
Exactly.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, it's no offense to the artists who work on it. Clearly, it vibes with a lot of people, but my God, it does not click with me at all. Like, I remember when I downloaded Dauntless, didn't know what it was, saw the battle pass, saw the art style, I just ran for the hills. I was like, nope, I'm all right.
Yeah. But yeah, they all interact. I mean, it's Ubisoft. They actually nail it more than they don't. Trials. The last Trials was trash. Origin I liked, but I really liked Odyssey, and they've patched what they haven't fixed. I like Division 2 a shit ton.
Right.
Like, I really fucking like Division 2. And then Breakpoint, of course, is Breakpoint. But yeah, so I'm excited in what they do. I don't really consider Ubi close to like Activision or EA, because one of the reasons is Gilmont or whatever his name is. He does something that's pretty crazy. He reacts fast for a huge company. So they had an issue with Breakpoint, and he's like, whoop, hold the phones. We're stopping everything. Do you think an Activision, Microsoft even, maybe even Nintendo, or
I don't think anyone else, to be honest. I think that's very much a Ubisoft thing.
Dude, and the guy, regardless of what anybody says, the guy's got a lot of passion towards making games that are enjoyable for people.
Mario and Rabbids. I think that's
exactly one of the classic best games of this gen. Like in the top 10 minimum for that, if not in top 5 for me. So
yeah. And absolutely one of the most innovative, shocking combinations of like genres and characters. Just, it's incredible the game happened. That's all I'm saying. It's whether you like it or hate it.
That game is sweet.
I know, I love it. We got a question from Mike Fury. This is just a message to all the patrons out here, by the way. Because a lot of you ask questions, and I always put the topics in every week, but if you don't want Mike dominating the conversation, maybe you're like, fuck this guy, man. Feel free to ask more topical-based questions. Obviously, we can't control the conversation if you don't have questions for that, but just keep that in mind so you can get involved during the show. and that we can spice it up a little bit. But Mike's got another flurry of questions. How would you describe the inconsistencies of Ubisoft, mainly on how different the Division 2 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint were? Is it laziness, lack of communication, a block on creativity and innovation? And he also mentioned out of the 5 new Ubisoft games, which ones are we most interested in, which we did answer. So we'll just focus on the strange difference, mind you, of the Division 2 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint, especially for Ubisoft as of lately. Normally they, as Karak mentioned, get knocked for sameness, but we don't see them usually getting knocked for the idea of, I guess, a repetition.
I'm not coming through, am I?
No, you're good. I'll
okay,
let you know
cool,
if you do.
Cool.
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
But we don't really see them get knocked for a sense of, I guess, like a repetition of these mechanics overall. I mean, we see overlaps in their games, but I'm curious what you're thinking overall and how there's an inconsistency here. Obviously, it's such a huge company, so there's multiple teams. There can be that, but it's not like them to do like a Fallout 76 and force a game out. It's just, it very much isn't their style.
You mean Ubisoft themselves?
Yeah, at least from what I remember. I think the last time they had a game this broken and awful at launch was probably Unity. That's like the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's the first one.
I mean, they've been guilty of the drastic changes before and after launch, of course. They kind of propelled that, but you know, I find this one to be one of the more strange launches.
Yeah, I don't know how it got made. It also, you know, if I was a movie star, well, first of all, I'd be riddled with VD. But also, I would want the game to be good. And if I hired a movie star, like Josh Barenthal, whatever his name is from Punisher, I would want to make sure that if he was doing my game, it was good. And you got Hollywood who can get in. And you have all this stuff. And there's all these things that indicated to me that they would make sure Breakpoint was better than Wildlands, which Breakpoint really is Wildlands 2. Really. Right. And it surprises me that we didn't see that. It does feel like maybe behind the scenes there could have been a delay it, but because Watch Dogs was being delayed or something, or because Watch Dogs already got delayed once, maybe they were stacked too much and they were like, let's do it. But I got to tell you, if I was a QA person there, and I've worked QA remotely for Ubisoft, they're very good at taking bug reports and fixing stuff and looking at stuff and saying that's not ready. It's really surprising to me. And I don't have, unfortunately, the contacts I used to with that team, the QA team that works remotely. We used to all contact. We did, what's the driving one? Crew and Crew 2. And I'm really surprised that, like, you don't hear a QA person on Reddit. I really am. I'm surprised you haven't had a leak from a QA person to just indicate they knew or anything. There really hasn't been any of that. And so that makes me wonder, like, did they not know? Like, did they think, you know, did the people they have tested it, people they had played it, did they all just miss? It is possible to miss.
Yeah.
I mean, it is possible that this might be their first true miss. Unity had technical issues. This one had some, but nowhere near. It was gameplay issues. Maybe they just thought it would be good, but it also cannibalizes Division 2. And I think that's a bad move on Ubisoft's part.
Yeah, like open world third person.
Oh, dude. Tell me it doesn't feel like Division 2 is in the city and Breakpoint is outside the city.
I never played Breakpoint just because I saw your tweets first and then I saw the reviews and I was like, yep, see ya.
Yeah, it does, Matty. I mean, different HUD, obviously. You know, there's changes to some of the rules. But what I'm saying is it still has that DNA to where you're like, dude, this could be outside the city limits and inside the city, right? So you could play Division, get to the outside, and then boot up Breakpoint. And some things feel a little different, but not enough that you can't tell there's a ton of similarities. So I don't know. Maybe they missed. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Everybody thought they had a great game. It just seems improbable.
Yes. All right. We're chugging along here. We're doing good on time. Excellent. Most excellent. So, next we're going to talk about what we're playing. A lot of you got involved on this one. So, let's start off with Jake once again. He says, Outer Worlds has been occupying the majority of my free time. I've also been playing Greedfall and Borderlands 3. It's a good trio of games here. I still haven't finished the main quests in any of the games due to working over 50 hours a week, but I'm still glad I have games to look forward to when I get home from work. We're happy for you, Jake. You work hard. You deserve your free time that you can enjoy however you will. Q Davis also is playing Outer Worlds. He says it stole all of his attention from Iceborne and that this game is a breath of fresh air. And with that, I believe, I'll double check the Discord in the meantime, but Karak, you can get us started with what you're playing. But those were the submissions for what you guys were playing. Oh, sorry, here we are.
Enjoying.
Empty and Made. Sharing what I'm playing. I stopped some 20 hours into the Outer Worlds to replay New Vegas, and I think after New Vegas, I'm going to replay Fallout 3. You are crazy. How do you... Wow, 20 hours in. You're almost done. You're almost done! All right. That is the last one. So what are you playing, Karak?
We've been playing, and this will be where... You gotta let me finish, Matty, because you're probably gonna give me shit when I start this Call of Duty thing.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so first of all, the campaign, there was a bunch of hubbub about, oh, it's going to be like no Russian, and there's a bunch of thought, and it's like emotional and all the shit. So I went into that.
Hogwash.
That was hogwash completely. Like, that was surprisingly, maybe even more so than no Russian, like the level from the one game where you go in and kill. That was, and there were parts, but they felt forced. It felt like
Let's try to shock them, not like it was an execution of a moment. Okay.
But I got to say this. So in past Call of Duties, there's been one or two that released with no bot support at all. Most have something. So this one has bot support. Well, I'm a big fan of like Unreal 1999 with a bunch of friends and doing bots. And so I got the game, and I got some people from the Discord, and I'm like, let's jump in, crank the bot difficulty up, and play. One of the major reasons why is all the guns are locked in that game for levels. So if you want an AK-47, I think the one I want is 44, level 44. So you're talking many hours. But in multiplayer, when you go into a bot match, you can switch them out and pick them up, and you can try them out and all this stuff.
Gotcha.
So we go in, and we start playing, and dude, bravo overall, but bravo to the guy who programmed the AI.
It's good?
Because, dude, the first thing we see, we come out over a thing... The first thing I see is myself dying, and they go to the kill cam, and this bot shot me like through a slat of wood across the courtyard, and I was hiding behind a box. But he ran up to it and actually you could see the AI look away, then look back and fire at me like a real human does the double take, where you're like,
Gotcha.
that's a head. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. But then we kept playing. And they leap out of windows onto cars. They flank you. They double flank you. They pincer you. They do crazy shit. We were doing domination, and we were like, we got A and B. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, our guys are going forward, because there was 4 of us with 2 bots, I think. And I'm like, they're going forward to C. Let's go forward. So we start going forward, and then all of a sudden, A starts blinking. And we're like, they're taking A. And they fucking adjust. They lay down. So you'll come around a corner, and there's a dude, like... hidden behind a car, laid down. You're like, is that a bot? And it's gosh. It was fucking so fun. So we had the entire Discord in there.
I saw you playing it over the last couple of days.
You saw me what?
I saw you playing it. Like, I saw you on my friends list and would say you were playing Modern Warfare.
Dude, it's ridiculous. And here's the thing that I like about it. It taught me the guns I wanted to use in multiplayer.
Gotcha.
Because in multiplayer, you go into Call of Duty, and unless you're 13 and riddled up with Adderall, the chances of you being dribbled for the first 3 or 4 or 5 fucking hours is actually quite high. And as you're trying to learn how the new game plays. Because the new game has mounting, which is weird. Which is where you get behind cover, but you have the gun mounted, and so it's harder to hit you. And humans are playing this one, and I've seen a lot of complaints, and I agree with them, multiplayer. But I went in, and I lost the 2 multiplayer matches right away. It was like 0-15 deaths. I just got smoked. But I realized, some of the things I learned from the bots, they don't do, but some of the skills I had learned from killing the bots translated over. So I adjusted, and when I was done, I was like number 1 multiple times, like 30 and no deaths, or 25 and 5 deaths. Like, I was doing very well. But that was because I had been able to jump in and learn some of the guns. So when I picked up a gun, normally in multiplayer, I'd pick up a gun for the first time. And you're like, how does it aim? Fucking people are leaping everywhere. And because you're able to go in there with that AI, and it plays well, and it teaches you, alley A, this is a bad place to go, or this is a good place to go. Dude, it has been a pleasure to play that. And it's funny because multiple people in the Discord are like, I don't like the multiplayer very much. I don't like, with randoms. I don't like the campaign, or I beat it already, but I've actually seen multiple people say this adds a huge level of replayability because you can get your friends. I'm not saying by yourself. That'll let you learn. It's not as fun by yourself. But when you get a couple people in there and you just fill it out and you crank up their difficulty all the way, and there's even a mixed setting, which I don't remember if the last ones that had bots did, but it takes random settings for the AI. So you might meet a shitty one, but we had one dude that 4 of us were coming around a corner, and that dude was acing us and it was awesome. We were like, his name's like Guamaro or something. We're like, that motherfucker needs to die. And so it became like this thing, almost like when a person shoots you and you see like Joe Bob killed you and you're like, I'm going to get that guy.
Right.
But it was the bots, and that was very fun. And all of those skills translated to the multiplayer against humans. It really does add a level of value to the title that the past AI just did not do. And I'm not saying they're as good as humans. I'm saying that they're better, and they do things much more not random. They have more variety. The lay down, the creep, slowly going around corners. They don't just run around. They do fuck up. There's one map where they're completely broken. Your AI will hide against a fence, and their AI will, and you'll just see 4 of your guys and 4 of their guys, and you have to kill them, and then they'll never do it again. But at the starting of each time, somebody didn't do the pathing right, and the AI thinks they can get through that fence, and they just stand at it, and they're like, what the fuck? And they die once, and it's almost like it learns.
Okay.
But shooting's good. Mounting's good. Multiplayer maps are unremarkable as fuck, though. Dude, no one is going to remember any of these multiplayer maps in a year. Not a single one.
When I was playing, that was my first complaint. I was going
they
through the
are
multiplayer.
Just
and, yeah, it's... You know, I always think like the good design of a multiplayer map is when there's a lot of paths that you can travel and that there's a central point for skirmishes. Not tunnels, but like I played this one cave map and I was like, what the fuck is this? Because there's a trench, there's like 40 houses up on the high ground, there's caves, there's secret paths in the caves, there's gigantic open spaces in the caves, which just doesn't encourage movement. A lot of the maps encourage you to just sit in place, and that's a huge
mount
problem.
system. That mount system is huge now. And if you played against people or against
people,
randoms or your friends.
Randoms, and
it's crazy.
I watched an interview with someone from Infinity Ward, and they defined when they created the maps, and this actually like pissed me off. I saw them say, we wanted to create a safe space for players to learn the game on the map, and we increased the time to kill so that it was newer players could come in and do well. And I'm like, I'm so sick of hearing this, man. Like, what happened to just like, I'm not asking people to be fucking elite, but what happened to just learning? Call of Duty is a point and shoot type of game. It's really, I don't know how much more your hand needs to be held than that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and they don't name the things right. They have, it's a hodgepodge when you go into the multiplayer. It's just like menus are everywhere.
The filters, oh my god.
The filters,
really weird.
But what they should have done is they should have named something training. And it should have been the bot maps or the bots or something, because the bots are actually
like that, I think.
They did, and the bots are 3 levels in. I think you go to like private match, and it's only in private. That's another thing. So it has to be a friends,
right?
And you don't level up, which is fine. But I would agree. The mounting system is so powerful. When somebody gets mounted at a doorway, to flush them out, it requires strategy, which is cool, but it also slows the game down in a weird way that doesn't feel.
The thing
it feels weird.
I've seen a lot of people go out of their way to compliment this game, being like, "Man, I love how Call of Duty slowed it down, changed the pace." And my theory has always been, I don't think the speed of the game was an issue since they got rid of like jump packs and shit, because that eventually added. I think it turned a Twitch shooter into something that was like far beyond what like you could just comprehend as a human. But what happens is now that it's slowed down, I just look at other games that slow it down, like Siege, and go, that slows it down the best. That's a meticulous
and it has destructible terrain.
Exactly. Like it's like Call of Duty almost regressed in my eyes to a place where I see so many other shooters doing something better. At least with Call of Duty, I knew I could rely on a little more run and gun action, even if it got tedious. But that's a franchise that's been going on for how many years? Like that's gonna happen. and I appreciate their ability to experiment. It's really the first major experiment. I just don't think it's helped the series. I think the time to kill in this game is fucking absurd. I mean, I was shredding people, man. In my first match, like I aimed and like 2 shots hit before I was fully aimed in, and he died. I was like, oh fuck, like, okay. Yeah. It wasn't even a headshot. He just died immediately.
Well, don't you think that's the tit for tat of it, where they're trying to make it so you can mount, but also make the kills quicker, and so they're trying to get 2 birds with 1 stone, and neither stone is actually got in a good way.
Yeah. And Infinity Ward has historically, like, COD 4, MW2, those games stick out in my head, more so MW2, like, immediate games in my head that are like, oh, right, you die fast. It's always been like that. I don't like Ghosts. I didn't play much Ghosts. But absolutely MW2 was, like, the shining symbol in my head of a fast time to kill. And this game's got that, which isn't the worst. But I wasn't grabbed. Last year, something about Call of Duty grabbed me. And I think it was like the maps, the movement. There was something about it. Look, like I just don't, especially nowadays, I just don't sink 150 hours into anything. I don't. And Call of Duty last year was one of my most played games. Granted, I played competitively, so...
Are we talking about the online
last year?
Okay,
yeah.
I just wanted to
and like I said, this was just multiplayer, and it was with my friends. It was through the games battles matches that I always talk about. I know there's a bit of a difference there, but still, like there was something there that kept me going for that long, compared to now where I picked it up, I played 10 matches, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the Outer Worlds, and I usually have a lot more patience with Call of Duty. Because I can critique the series, but I know I like certain things about it and do go back to play it because I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the maps are... There's something about the... I don't know.
It's the maps, movement, and time to kill. None of it mixes well together. It's just bad design.
I had no problem having the occasional like side battle or whatever, and I had some enjoyment there. But it's for me, if the maps were fixed, it might fix the time to kill depending on how the maps were done.
Right.
Even though the time to kill is sort of weird, but the mount system with the maps with the time to kill is overkill. There's just something going on, and those maps, dude. They're bridge. I liked. Everybody else hates. I actually like because I like being on the bridge and fighting people off. Like it's a fun. And I get why people hate it because you can get sniped from 8 miles away and all this crazy shit. And then a couple others. Also, I don't know if you saw this. There's a couple multiplayer maps that absolutely should have a warning. Do not play with a certain amount of people or over. There's the bathhouse or showers. Dude, I would spawn in and it was just like, I swear to God, the map's only like fucking 150 feet. And there were just like 14 people. And you'd spawn in and just, God. And so a lot of times I would equip the rocket launcher, spawn in and fire it without even aiming. God. And I would kill like 3 people. I'd just be like, boom, triple kill. And then I'd die and then come back in, double kill. And then I'd die, shoot it, miss.
Oh my gosh.
That to me isn't a good map. All multiplayer games should say recommended with this many players too. Yeah. Any multiplayer game. I wish they'd do that and be like best with this many. I have not done the open big one though. At all. That I'm doing that today. What's the big map? Yeah, I've not done that, but I hear that's the worst actually.
It tails on to the argument I was making earlier. Like, okay, it slows it down. I could go to Siege. Ground War is like it's exactly like Battlefield. Like you spawn in, ton of people, maps are huge, 5 control points. There's like people are hopping into vehicles right away.
Bad.
I love Battlefield's time to kill. In my eye, even though I like playing Call of Duty competitively and that I'm best at that, I always loved like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 1. Like there's just something about it rewards you for actually being able to aim your gun, I guess, which I think is the minimum a shooter can do. And so I feel with the time to kill and how the maps are designed, because here's the thing is like in Battlefield, and I don't quote me on this because maybe, and you might know this, but I don't know if Call of Duty accounts for bullet drop.
It does not that I've seen. Well, wait, no, sniper rifle or RPGs.
Sniper rifles, I'm talking.
RPGs do. So I don't know if sniper rifle. I haven't even equipped a sniper rifle in the game. Okay. It's always been assault.
Maybe someone was really good, but I remember when I got sniped on one of these maps, I forgot, it's like some factory-looking place. the person's aim was like not ahead of me and shot and dragged the bullet into me, like it was on me. And it made me think when I saw that, and like I said, it could have just been a kill cam bug, so I don't want to get too hyper focused on it. But when I got killed that way, I was like, you know, these weapons are too good for the type of game style right here.
Yeah, right.
Because in Battlefield, the maps are huge and open, but you can run in the open area because someone has to be fucking good at sniping to hit you. They have to aim like 2 feet above your head, to the right, account for wind, the drop, where you're running, and then hit that shot. So when you die...
I don't think that's in this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If it is, gladly I'll eat my words. But when I saw the kill cams, I was getting shot from a mile out, and it was just like dead on. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I mean, look, you know, that the guns just aren't syncing with the mode at that point, because then you can just post up anywhere and one shot someone from a distance because you don't need to account for drop, which is one of the hugest parts of why the open area of the maps can be fun to play in. But if you make them dangerous, then it's an issue. It's a big issue.
I was killing people with the snub-nose M4 from a long ways away. And admittedly, if you see Army people who've trained, they can do really well within a true, you know. But I was hitting people a long ways away, and I'm pretty sure I never aimed above their
That's
head.
another thing I think Infinity Ward struggled with. I think of the Model 1887s from MW2. They were these these like shotguns that when you shot, you'd like roll them around your fingers almost. And you could use them akimbo, and they just had insane range. And a lot of people defended it, saying, well, in real life, shotguns have range. And, like, there's a model shotgun in this game that has insane range. Like, Infinity Ward just doesn't get time to kill and range down, ever, first try. Like, those guns need to be nerfed, just because...
Wouldn't it be... Oh,
no, I was just going to say, just because, like, you don't want to shot... Like, shotguns in real life, yes, they do have range. You can blast someone from a decent distance and still take them out. But in a video game...
Yeah, right. So, shotguns are supposed to be up close.
Yeah, shotguns are like barrel stuffers. You're within like a 5-foot radius, and there you can shoot and kill.
I would like it that if you did a game with your friends or a private match, you were able to actually adjust damage done by guns or something like that. They've never done it. And it would be awesome to have a slider and just be like... I don't want to add health. I hate that shit. For some reason, adding health bothers me. But if I want to turn the lethality of the guns up and down a little bit, like Arma allows you to, I think that'd be great. Because you could adjust that TTK and then go, okay, does this feel better? And even the devs could do that and go, you know what? We played at 80% because I agree with you. I use the M4, day one M4, even though there's tons of guns more powerful. Good. But it's because I can kill people with it that I don't even worry. Like when I run out of bullets, most of the time, instead of like picking up the gun in front of me, I'll just reload my own because there's no real reason other than the Odin is what it's called. That is sort of a man chewer, I've noticed. But I don't really need to switch out guns, which I think is a problem. You should not have to switch out guns, but notice a difference. And I haven't noticed a huge difference.
And there's also like equipment I noticed off the bat. There's this one thing you can do that's like an ammo box, so you can...
Yeah, that's what I have.
And once again, that's something that's like not useful in certain modes, but when you're playing ground war, it's useful because then you're more hunkered down. I don't know. I'm a little milquetoast on it because I think about it now and I could see myself really liking it, but it's because it's got like Battlefield DNA. You know, I loved Battlefield for a very long time, much more than Call of Duty. And I guess that DNA in there excites me. So I'll have to give it another run again, probably tonight, just to kind of unwind. As I'm sure a lot of people can tell, this episode I'm pretty tired. So
do you do PS4 or PC?
PS4. That's where Activision sent me the code. That's where a lot of my friends were playing, and that's where my Game Battles team is. So
gotcha. Well, if you don't have, if you can't get friends or whatever, make sure to contact me because I have no problem jumping in and seeing. And we can do. I mean, if you want, we can just we can go randoms, but we can also try bots, and you can see like how you feel. Like,
yeah, I mean, if I like it enough to spend $60 on it, you know, why the hell not? Another game I've actually, yeah, it really is. Another game I've actually been playing is on my Switch. And it's one that I don't think people are going to be expecting, but it's one I definitely want to talk about. It's called, have you heard of Ring Fit Adventure?
Oh my God. No.
Yeah.
No, why? No, I'm just joking. It's fine. But yes, I know what that is.
It's actually hilarious how much of a video game it is, but actually how much of a workout it is.
Gotcha.
And this is coming from someone who I would say is in good shape. I exercise at a minimum 4 times a week. I make sure I do because I sit in this computer chair a lot. You want to get the heart going. And I was like, I bought it on a whim. My girlfriend was really into it. She was like, we should definitely do this together. I was like, I mean, look, Wii Fit was cool, but I used it for a
Right.
week when I was in 8th grade, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to eating junk food and skateboarding. But in my new mindset, I was like, this could be really good. And it was $80, but it comes with, and this is for the visual viewers here. Karak, you'll see it as well. Hold on, let me unstrap this. I'm sure for our audio people, this sounds very uncomfortable. Anyway. This is a ring con it comes with. So it's pretty much, these are the two handles, and there's this resistance band that actually, like, you pull it, see, like, it's very, like, well made, I guess would be the best word. It's surprising. Like, when I started squeezing it together for certain exercises, I was like, holy smokes, man, this thing is tough, which is good. On the top here, your Joy-Con connects to that, and pretty much it uses the sensors in here to detect motion with this. And it's very accurate, by the way. I'm shocked once again how accurate this is. So there's that, and then right here, once again, for the visual viewers, there's this leg strap. So this kind of goes through like this, wraps around your leg, and you put in one of your Joy-Cons inside this little sleeve here. So you have one attached to your leg, and you have the ring con in your hands. So what'll happen is, when you run around in the game, you actually run around in real life. It's kind of crazy. So to go to point A to point B, you have to like run in place, which actually gets your heart going. And you can't just like kind of jog lightly in place because the sensor's detecting how far your leg's coming up. And it's, like I said, once again, very accurate. So I was testing it. I was like, let me see if I just kind of like hop in place a little bit. And I was like, nope. Let me see if I just move my legs a little bit. Nope. It's like you got to actually jog in place, which I thought was really cool. And then you'll bump into enemies along the way. And to fight them, you've got to do workouts. So there's one you can do where you squeeze the ring con above your head, and it's like a deltoid workout. And each time you successfully do the move, it rates you on like, I think, good, great, and excellent. And when you do an excellent, which means you're having the best form, like you're taking your time with it because it fills up a bar, and you release at the right time, it gives you more damage to the enemy. So essentially you're doing less reps, but they're cleaner. So it kind of encourages a good workout. But, depending on what difficulty you pick, I think I'm on like 23 out of 30, which is in what they call, I think, intense. Because I kind of overestimated myself at first, I'll be honest, but I was like, I work out a lot and this is a video game. It does get you sweating, but it'll make you start doing squats, because what happens is when you get into combat, you pick the exercise to attack them with. So there's one that I forgot what it's called, but you lower the ring con and you sort of squeeze it together to work out your chest, and the attack spreads 3 ways. So if you are fighting 3 enemies, this is a good workout to do against those enemies. That's just the adventure mode. You can also just set up like a straight up workout if you just want to use the game for that. But I've enjoyed like killing enemies, leveling up, exploring, running along these levels. There is a story for those who care, but ultimately, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's a really underrated game, and it's giving me a good workout.
Sorry,
$80.
That cost?
$80. So it's 60 for the game, 20 for the ring and the strap.
Gotcha.
And I will say, a little pricey, but very well made. And
you're getting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I mean, for what it's worth, I'm on day 3 of using it. Because I run every day pretty much. So I was like, okay, I kind of need to spice it up. And this was my idea, like, okay, let's do a challenge and see like how many times I can do this in a month. And once it started to be a really serious workout, I was like, okay, I'm definitely putting this into my routines. So for those who are curious, just know it does give you a very strenuous workout. And it's not like one of those, because of the sensors, it makes sure you can't cheat the system, which is the most important part. Not that I tried, but I tested. But it's awesome, man. It is so cool.
Normal game for the Switch is $60, right? They're not cheap. So $20 for the ring, basically. Yeah,
and it comes in like a bigger box.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. And it's what's good is this ring can kind of go anywhere. You can slide it under a bed. You could toss it in the closet.
Yeah,
it's not like the
like
Wii Fit
crazy.
board where it's like that's a much more hefty object. I guess the only thing is maybe depending on your floors, you might need like a yoga mat just to for like some exercises will have you getting on the floor doing like ab crunches and stuff. So you might need something just to cushion you while you're down there, but it doesn't really require anything on the outside like weights or whatever, which is great.
I just like that it's like a fighting off enemies. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. The fact that you can fight enemies, because it the way that they never discourage you, but the way they rate your attacks. When I do squats, for example, it would tell me, I was like, I went down, went up, it was like good. I'm like, hold on, let me try it again. Down, up. It says good, and I'm like, no, man, I'm not doing it right. So I go like deeper this time. I'm like, all right, feel the burn, and I come back up, and it says excellent. I'm like, okay,
gotcha.
Okay, so now I got it, and so now you know, like, okay, this is how low I want to go. It doesn't teach you a lot about the actual exercises. Like, for example, with squats, like your toes aren't supposed to be pointed in. The game does tell you that, but it doesn't tell you for certain stretches and certain exercises, right. Like don't let your knees go ahead of your toes, that type of stuff. And so what can happen is I feel like some people can start to do the exercises incorrectly and just hurt themselves. So there is a little bit of research, I think, required on the outside, because as far as I've seen with the adventure mode, maybe the in-game routine where you can just like customize a workout does teach you a little bit more, but
the adventure mode sort of go.
The adventure modes
just go.
I treat the adventure mode like a circuit. You go through, they call them worlds. You have like a little hub map that you can kind of go through, and it'll tell you when you start it up roughly how long it'll take, how many calories you'll burn. It'll tell you how many like certain exercises you did. Here, let me tell you guys, I think I have it, what my last exercise was. I don't think I have it. Do I? Give me 1 second, because I know I texted my girlfriend that, because I was like, look what I did. Here we are. Okay, so I think this was day one. This was day one, yeah, because I don't have certain exercises. Day one, I did 84 knee to chest, so that's an ab workout. I did 80 overhead presses with the band. I did 56 squats. I did 42 ring presses. I did 14 chair pose. There is yoga in this. I did 10 low ring press, which is like an ab thing to use for defense. Sometimes you have to defend yourself from the enemies attacking. I jogged 630 yards. I dashed for 542 yards. I did knee lifts for 139 yards, which, 6 football fields, 5 football fields, 1 football field. So just think of it that way. It's great, man. It is a serious workout. So go for it, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the fence and you want like something to kind of, it's fun too. It gamifies it. Like my girlfriend is the perfect example. She's very much I want to exercise, I want to be in shape, but I don't like to go to the gym or go on a run. Yeah. Like it's just not stimulating, and exercise should be fun. So she does like a hammock class, and now she's doing this because this is fun to her. So if you're looking for a fun way to exercise, this is absolutely where you should go. Karak, anything else you're playing?
No, you know what? It's just been Call of Duty.
My condolences. All right, let's move on to the rest of our patron questions. Oh, wait, whoa, Matt, slow it the fuck down. We still got one more news topic. Diablo 4 was revealed. It will release on PS4, PC, and Xbox One. It'll seemingly have a mage, druid, and barbarian class. There are mounts. Also at BlizzCon, Overwatch 2 was revealed. And we have a question from Natural Calamity, starting off with him. He says, is there any way you see Blizzard redeeming themselves to Activision and to the market of gamers after this recent backlash? It's one of those things where I think it's so politically involved, I don't see it happening. I know it's pretty raw, but I just feel like it's not you released a buggy game. It's like, oh, you took a very strong stance on something political. Okay, that's pretty creepy. So I don't think so. I think people will always remember this.
Are they talking about the China thing in particular?
Mm-hmm. China, Blitzchung, Hearthstone. We've always known Activision's greedy, all that stuff, so...
Yeah, if we're just talking about the China thing, probably it's going to take a while.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I just look at it and go, okay, at least Diablo 4 exists. It looks great. I think Overwatch 2 looks great. Mike Fury once again has to sound off with some questions because he likes his question spam. What's our favorite Diablo game? What features can they add to Diablo 4 to make it better? And who's our favorite among the 3 first entries? I guess. Hold on, Mike. Hold on. Unless he meant class, I think you fucked up and asked the same question twice. Mike's always slipping,
shit.
man. Mike's always slipping.
Mikey's slipping.
Asking all these questions. Now, proofreading. I can't speak. I shouldn't talk. Proofreading. All right. Favorite Diablo game for me, I've only played 3, so that's mine. What about you?
I would say Diablo. Xbox had Diablo. Xbox 360 had which Diablo? Which Diablo did I review? I really liked it on the Xbox 360. I don't remember which one it is. I am not a huge Diablo fan. Okay. Not even close. Okay. I did play it on the PC, and I liked 2 a lot. And then I played a version on the 360, and for the life of me, I can't remember which one it was. I really liked it on the console because it was just me and a friend running around. It was a very good time. But I wouldn't say I rate any of them better. And I don't think I had any experience with 1. I think I saw friends play 1, but it was not my thing. It still is a little too death pinata for me to really buy into.
So then I think that's perfect for the next question, which is what features can they add? Is there anything you think that they could add, or is it just a style of game that doesn't speak to you?
Yeah, it's probably that. You know how we talked about Borderlands, where like you get 8,000 weapons and like you only start picking up purples or something. You know, like or golds. Yeah. That it happens in Diablo, and I get numb really quick to any game with very repetitive gameplay, and I would say Diablo's certainly that. Okay. So probably not much other than maybe a super detailed story, but then it'd be Divinity Original Sin 3 or something. You know, it wouldn't even be Diablo anymore. Yeah. So it doesn't mean I won't like whatever they do, but I don't see anything that would magically fix it without changing what Diablo is.
Did you have a chance to check out the trailer?
I did.
It's a little more gory, dark.
Yeah, it reminds me more of 1, actually, because 1 was pretty dark.
Yeah, they said, what did they say? I think I read online they wanted the loot chase of 1, the darkness and grit of 2, and I think the combat of 3. Like, that's what they were going for with this 4th one. So that seemed really interesting. I like Diablo 3 a lot. I never bothered playing 2 because I was already in on 3. I didn't replay it a ton like a lot of people have. I'm surprised that they didn't. Well, I can't say I'm surprised, but I was hoping they'd announce Diablo 4 right away for Switch. I think that would be a really good addition to that library because they already have 3 there, but maybe they're pushing some things technically that the Switch can't handle. Then again, The Witcher 3, so poo on that. What about Overwatch 2, though? You have some interesting information on that one.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. So on Overwatch 3, while we were in or getting ready for this, basically they announced a bunch of stuff, and one of them, and Maddie says this is somebody that matters, Jeff Kaplan.
Yes.
What is he? Do we know?
Project
is he like just
director,
community? Oh, project.
Yeah,
okay,
something like
so
that.
He said. So Overwatch 2 was announced, and he said this, which is pretty cool. He says, for all original players of Overwatch, you will get to play on all of the same maps as Overwatch 2 players, including all of the brand new maps. And you will get to play with all of the same heroes. It will be a shared multiplayer environment where no one gets left behind. And then he added, we want to make sure all cosmetics come forward with you, so all progress matters. Nothing gets left behind. No one gets left behind.
Pretty
and
good.
It's single player, or there's a single player campaign component.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't look like a tacked on thing. There were in the trailer that released, there's a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah.
It looked like structured missions. So yeah, there was a lot of co-op elements to it, I believe is mentioned in that article you're looking at. Like there's just a ton of stuff here where, look, I mean, I adored Overwatch 1 for the first 2 years of its life. It was like probably my most played game out of those 2 years. It pulled me off of Smite, which, as a lot of you guys know, is like my go-to multiplayer game, so that says a lot. I put almost 300, 400 hours into Overwatch, something crazy like that. I absolutely adore that game. So I'm excited at the idea of a single-player campaign. That's something I wanted for a while, and it's a main reason why I fell off the game, because I was just like, I just will come back when there's a story, there's a way to learn more. I don't like leaving a game to get more information. Like when they release their cinematics, They released like lore comics and all that shit. Like, I don't care about that. I want to just play the game and learn more in game. That's where it matters to me. Like, kind of that started off when Destiny did the whole Grimoire thing, like the whole lore out of game. Couldn't stand that.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, so I'm happy that they have a story. That doesn't mean it's going to be good. It doesn't mean that maybe the PvE content in the terms of the mission structure doesn't get repetitive. But ultimately, I'm excited to go through that world. And they also introduced a new PvP game mode called Push, where you see this giant robot like moving something forward, and then when the team surrounds it, like whichever team's winning the battle, it'll start pushing that direction. It kind of reminded me of can't remember the name of the mode, but it's where you like follow that vehicle around that's carrying the cargo. It's along a path, and there's like multiple checkpoints along the way.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, kind of similar in structure to that. So I'm gonna have to read more on what the difference is there. But this news actually just kind of popped up right as we were preparing for the show. So that's why we have a little less information on.
I mean, it's exciting.
Overwatch 2.
They add what I wanted, which is like single player component. They got co-op, and everybody can move forward. If they buy it, they get it, and if they don't, they can still play.
Really good package in that manner. I think this is the best way to do it, because a lot of people, when I tweeted out, I was like, look, I know Activision sucks, Blizzard sucks, especially right now, but I'm excited at the idea of more Overwatch. And a lot of people are like, I agree, but like at the same point, why would I buy this? And now we have a good answer. If you just want to play more Overwatch multiplayer, you're going to get those maps, you're going to get that mode, it's not going to affect you. I think that's very good for the player base. And I wonder if that stuff carries over to the Switch edition, although the Switch edition isn't that good. It's still an interesting thought. So, a lot to toil around with there. Very excited. Hope to see more for both of these games next year. And now, without me getting ahead of myself, we can answer the remainder of your Patreon questions. Let's do this, Karak. First, I have to reverse my phone and scroll to the top. All right. Mike Fury, we answered a ton of your questions, so I'm giving you your apology now that we will not be using your, I think, 11 remaining questions. Let's start off with Vault 101 guy. He says, when do you think PlayStation will now allow downloads on all games instead of streaming? They should know by now the streaming aspect is awful. Even with great internet speeds up and down, it constantly stutters and loses connection. The issue with why this is impossible is because a little interesting tip here is that the reason why, for example, because I imagine you're talking about like PS3 games, because you can download, for example, through PS Now, PS4 games. And Karak can guide me here a little bit, but when it comes to the Xbox and its backwards compatibility, let's say I threw KOTOR in there, the disc almost serves as a key to unlock the emulation, and it downloads the game, correct? Something along those lines, and then it plays it on the console. So the disc is essentially just a key. It's not running off the disc. So there's a way for Xbox to stream these games through its console, but use the disc to kind of run it locally, I guess, or to unlock it locally. Whereas with PlayStation and when it comes to PS3, there's just something with, I guess, the way these games were all made, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah, well, it's how the emulator works. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because some of them they can't emulate on the PS4 because PS3 had some weird architecture, and they can't get. So it depends on the game. Yeah. Can they get it emulated? Can it work? And some they can't. So I don't think all of them will ever be.
Yeah.
I mean, and certainly now that we know Sony's sort of not hedging, but we don't know what their backwards compatibility exactly will be on the next one.
I think it'll be as extensive as we think off the bat.
Off the bat, I don't either. I think that to them is just not super important, and I don't think they're going to rush to get PS3 games working on your local console without being connected and all that kind of shit.
Right. AC Denton asks, with EA deciding to release Jedi Fallen Order on Steam, do you think this could be the start of EA rebuilding a relationship with Valve and bringing more titles to Steam again? I guess this answers it, but I'd still like you to discuss it. And he links an article to the videogamer.com where Jedi Fallen Order is going to be sold on Steam, and that's how they announced it. I feel like what you're seeing is EA trying to cash in on what I call a prestige product. It's almost like I've heard in the press there are these things called prestige pieces where they, it may not get the most clicks, it may not get the most hits, but they're doing it almost as a goodwill garner. And I think EA is trying to cash in on that front. Not saying that they're making this drastic company shift just for the sake of Jedi Fallen Order, but I think this coincides well with what Fallen Order stands as for this company. Like, oh my god, it's a single-player Star Wars game. It's not really touched by EA all that much from what we know. It does show some potential. We're seeing now Steam and EA reuniting. I think it's a good story, and I think EA's smart to make the move now rather than wait afterwards, where it looks like they're on the good track rather than reacting to something. That's at least how I'd interpret it.
And it's also money. It's just more people.
Yeah, true. There's a good chance Valve's like paying them, saying, "Hey, bring your stuff here because of competition."
It's not only
with
that,
Epic.
Matty. It's just some people don't want to have Origin on their PC. They don't want to, they don't want to download something else. And if it's on Steam, I'm sure they are looking at Uplay too. Because remember, Uplay already does all this.
Right.
Uplay, and I'm sure they're just like, might as well just, have somebody who's on Steam scrolling through games see our games too. So it makes sense to me, money-wise. I'd rather have just like you, we upload our videos to YouTube, but we want them everywhere, right? You want to get as much people looking at it. I'm sure with games, at some point, they just were like, might as well just have it everywhere. And
do you think other companies are going to follow suit, or because I feel like
who have their own stores? You mean?
Yeah. Do you think Bethesda's going to be like, all right, let's actually Bethesda's already been on Steam. I apologize because we'll say who's someone who's holding out. Is Ubisoft on Steam?
Yeah, Uplay. I would say
Uplay is a thing.
I think most of them are. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, but wait, they did
overall Activision.
They did Epic with the Division 2.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's what I think is I think EA just looked at Uplay and was like, well, if I call it Uplay, I should say Ubisoft. EA looked at Ubisoft doing it everywhere and it's just like, we might as well.
Right.
As well. Like it's obviously not impacting Assassin's Creed Odyssey sales.
True.
So, they do get less, but I'm going to tell you there's something about second vision sales, which is where, if I go looking for something on Steam and I see Odyssey on sale, I'm seeing it in a place that if I didn't have Steam open, I would never see it because I don't have Origin open. And I think what's going on is they're just like, might as well catch a drive-by looker and boom, we've got our game on there. There's a chance they'll click it and buy it. And to them, it's just more people seeing their stuff. Yes, it's a lesser amount, but it might be a lesser amount or no amount.
Yeah.
Because that, when you go to Origin, you see the game and there's only a couple. So you're like, I know exactly what I'm getting on Steam. I've seen people buy shit on Steam, Maddie, that I'm like, why'd you buy that? Why?
Just because it's on sale.
Yep. I was scrolling through and I saw it pop up, and so I got it. And you're just like, all right.
Steam is a home to impulse purchasers across the globe, man.
Yep, might as well put it wherever you can get it. I think a lot of games. We're seeing it with Microsoft and Ori on Switch, too.
I mean, I think companies are just learning.
Death Stranding on PC.
Yeah, that too. That one wasn't a surprise, though. I think that was announced for a very long time.
It was leaked, yeah. It wasn't a surprise, I don't think. But
I think companies are just learning very, very late that consumers just like options.
Yeah.
Most people have no problem buying shit. It's just when you decide to wall us off, that's when it's like a problem. The Grimbat, aka Grimblade, asks, what is an indie game or a AA game you really enjoyed but have not talked up much from this year? So I guess that eliminates Greedfall.
I haven't played much I haven't talked about. We both have podcasts, so it's like we talked about, you know what I mean? Like, even if we didn't buy it, we're talking about it in here. So I don't think I even have it.
It was Catherine Full Body I talked about, but I think that's AAA. I'm just trying to look at the games I've played.
You told me a bunch about Catherine Full Body.
That game is great. Plague Tale Innocence, we talked about. You know what? One I didn't really talk about much was Team Sonic Racing. I like that. I wouldn't say
gotcha. Yeah, I haven't heard you mention.
I wouldn't say I really enjoyed it, but it was fun. It was a nice little diversion. It was a fun arcade style game. It was priced fairly. I think it was $40, $30. Much cheaper now. That game came out way earlier in the year, and with Black Friday sales coming up and Cyber Monday, you could probably get it for an even better deal. But that's one I'd recommend. It was not like a Mario Kart. Mario Kart just feels better to play, but this game was fun. I definitely recommend that. Let me check my list. Hold on.
Yeah, I just checked mine. I legit don't have any. Like, we've talked about them if I've, Vampire on Switch, but covered Vampire enough.
Yeah, I guess when you really look at it, because technically The Outer Worlds is AA, Greedfall is certainly AA. Like, most AA games that cross our path, we're pretty big advocates of. And, Plague Tale Innocence, like, we really push those. So it's hard to think of indie game. I don't really... Last indie game I think I played was The Messenger, and that one was in my Game of the Year list. Like, I fucking loved that game. That was a really, really good one. I don't think DC Universe Online would be, even though it's...
God, I love that game.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing that on my Switch. That's pretty fun.
I'm a fucking mark for that, like a wrestling mark. It's crazy how much I like that. Have you been just soloing it or going with friends?
Just soloing it.
Dude, it's
fun.
It's got a lot of content.
It does. Yeah. I did a Flash comic. There's I think Dark Metals are the name of them. Mm-hmm. Yep. I did one of the comic missions for that. Like, it's fun the way they scale your player. You just can kind of hop in wherever you want. Very, very few MMOs do that. So I just felt like everything was accessible right away.
It's also cool because villains and heroes start with completely different quest lines and with different mentors and stuff. Yeah, I absolutely adore that game.
Yeah. I don't know if that would slot into AA just because it's an MMO, which I know is pretty high budget, but it just doesn't look like Elder Scrolls Online or something along those lines, which I think is
It was
higher.
A PS3 game, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
It's 13 years old.
That's true, but don't MMOs sometimes go over like RuneScape? RuneScape had like an overhaul that like made it look graphically much better.
It did not. DCU actually has not. Only that I know of the ones, because I play DCU all the time. The only one I know of that did was Star Trek Online from Cryptic. They did a full redo of the engine with like lighting and stuff like that.
Interesting. All right, Aunt Jemima's got 2 questions for us. Number 1, what do you plan/hope to review this month? Oh, man.
Need for Speed Heat.
I'll probably do Death Stranding impressions. I don't know if I'll do a full review. I want to get into contact with EA about Jedi Fallen Order. That would be awesome.
Jedi Fallen Order.
But I don't know. I don't know if I'm high on anyone's hit parade as of lately. It's like I said, a lot of people on my channel, this last since May, the only game I got early, and I'm not complaining because it's the only game I really wanted, truly needed early, was The Outer Worlds. Everything else I got day and date, or in the case of Greedfall, I got it 24 hours early. So, yeah, I mean, for me, Aunt Jemima, it's one of those things where it really does depend on if the publisher or the PR agency would like to grant me a advanced copy.
And there's not a ton coming out. I mean, there is 2 EA games, which are difficult as fuck to get as a reviewer. I think they only go to influencers and streamers.
Part of that Game Changers program or something like
that. Yeah, which I had forgotten completely, and I think that's pretty much like a no-go.
Yeah.
They're almost impossible for even me to reach.
I agree.
There's really not a huge... There's a couple games other than that, but yeah, this year I would say whatever comes my way, I'll probably versus like seeking something out.
Yeah, I'd like to get at least one more review under my belts. Maybe if Jedi Fallen Order doesn't pan out, I will do Death Stranding, because like I said, I do want to do one more. I think you could tell in my the Outer Worlds review, just like my review chops were like kind of flaring to go. Like I was going in on that game. And I love reviewing games. It's probably my favorite content to do. So hopefully we get our hands on more. Second question was, what's one game genre you've always wanted to get into, but you can't just enjoy? For me, it's RTS. I love turn-based, but RTS just does not click with me. It's really not the genre, but Disgaea as a series and how that gameplay system works never clicked with me, but it has so many fucking fans. I think I could check my Switch. I think I have 5 hours on Disgaea, and I just really did not enjoy it. And 5 hours is enough to figure out if you like something.
Yeah.
Did not like it.
I don't really have I mean, I'll play even sports games when I review them, so I don't really think I have a genre that I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have a specific genre. I don't like puzzle games for obvious reasons. They engage me mentally, but I like a mixture of like fun and mental engagement, and I think it's more exciting when you can like mentally engage me as if it's a puzzle with combat. For example, We'll say Batman Arkham. You see someone with a shield coming at you, someone who's only knocked down through that like glue bomb on the ground, and someone who can only be knocked out with a batarang. You have to orient yourself, and that's almost a moving puzzle in its own right. So I kind of like that way of, I put this in quotes, puzzle solving. It's called good combat, but I think a thoughtful process and approach to that is more enticing for my brain. JPat93, what's one video game protagonist you would like to cross over into a different game universe? For example, getting to play the Master Chief in a Days Gone video game, and one video game antagonist you'd like to see as an enemy in a different video game universe. For example, the Flood in Call of Duty World at War. I like your second example. That's really good, JPat.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Ooh. A protagonist in another universe. I'd like to see Courier 6 stumble into the Outer Worlds and just be like, what the fuck? That'd be cool. That's already kind of like a theory. I don't think it's going to end up being true, but...
I don't really... I mean, I like Pavardi in Outer Worlds. She could be in, like, Greedfall or something. But, I mean, awesome. It's a weird... That's a weird... I don't even... And I don't really follow protagonists other than Master Chief. And not even really that anymore.
I like to see like Darth Malik go into like Jedi Fallen Order and just be like, what the fuck
that'd be cool.
is going on? Yeah.
Where you're not expecting it. He's like the main bad guy. He's like resurrected or something. That shit would be cool.
That'd be, oh man, I'd freak out at that.
I mean, you know what could work? We were talking about Jedi Order being safe, right? And I think it is. It's Force Unleashed 3, but just on the other side. That would be awesome, though, Matty, if they had hidden, if there's a secret, like, bad guy at the very end that's a callback to, like, it's Revan or something, even though it wouldn't
like
be. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Yeah, and you're just like, and the amount of hubbub that would cause, because right now the game is sort of viewed as like, oh, it's a Jedi game, it's pretty safe, it's this, it's that. It'd be cool if they're like, oh, yeah, it is, and then, you know, three-fourths of the way through, the bad guy turns out to be, somebody very classic. That would be fucking awesome,
That'd be cool. All right. That's a good question. Let's see what we've got here. Kettlecorn. How do you determine the value of a game? Most people like to say that sports games are a ripoff because it's the same thing every year. I personally will easily put over 200 plus hours in NHL every year, and I have friends that do the same for NBA and Madden. For me, NHL takes up more time than any other game by far. Is the value of a game based solely on the amount of hours you put in, or are there other determining factors?
There's others, for sure. Mine's more about the time that I do spend. Do I enjoy it?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I can do 60 hours of a shit game.
yeah, I don't understand the mindset. There was people who tried to tell me, I remember with Fallout 4, where like I'd see people with tons of hours, and I'm like, why do you play it if you don't like it? And people are like, well, it's the only game we have. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But at the same point, I'd rather go spend my time doing something I enjoy than playing a game I didn't like. So I've never understood the mindset of that. I don't think hours in general determine how much you love a game. Because, for example, Red Dead, I put 80 hours into it because that's how long the story is. But I never really went back outside of dabbling in Red Dead Online and sometimes messing around in the single-player world. But I really never went back. And I don't think that means I love it less. I just had my fill of the world. I spent time in it. And that's all it kind of demanded of me. For me, I would say I always return to Smite. But it's not like, the best game ever. I know that for a fact it's not. It's a very fun and balanced multiplayer game. And I enjoy it a lot, but it also just kind of scratches that I'm playing something itch, but I don't want to be fully invested in something. Like I just want to play something. And sports games do that best. That's why I think you can put 200 plus hours into it every year, because it's just, I used to put tons of hours into NHL with my friends and I played it. Of course, Kettlecorn, I saw the light and I stopped fucking playing that trash, but I see you have a little bit more time before you accept my way. But realistically speaking, I think there are other determining factors, just, because you can have a very quality experience in 10 hours and just have that sit with you as much as 200 hours. It's just depending on how it's delivered. Benjam hits us with a hard-hitting question. If you could go back in time and fix one mistake you made in real life, what would it be and how you would do it differently? Ben, I hope you're doing all right. You're not going through anything tough that's making this come into your head. Maybe you just want to see us squirm a little bit, but thinking of you. If I could go back in time right now, I'd go and get myself a protein shake and put it next to my desk so I had something to fuel myself for the end of the show. That's certainly one thing I'd change. Oh, man.
Are you out of drinks and stuff?
I'm out of water. And
I can answer something.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh.
The show, we only have like one more question after this. I don't know. See, I don't want to say the word fortunate. I've always tried to lead my life in a sense of like I don't have regrets. I don't sit here and like anguish over mistakes I've made, because most times they've been mistakes I could learn from and grow from. Like if you asked me in 2016, I'd be like, man, my biggest mistake was making that Fallout 4 review. But now I'm just like, thank God I made that and like did it the way I did, because I learned from it a lot. Same thing with like the whole calling people who said Fallout 4 is bad disrespectful. Like I'm happy I did it, because I wouldn't say happy. I could go through my life without having to experience that, but I will say I'm happy I learned from it. So I don't know if there's any mistakes I'd want to go back and undo, because like I always try to be like courteous with my time for my family. I always try to think bigger than, like, okay, this person will be around for a finite amount of time. This is going to be around here for as long as I need it to be, kind of thing. So I've always viewed life through those lens. So I've never really had, I guess, a huge regret I'd like to go back and undo. I'm sure if I thought hard enough, maybe something would come to mind. I'm not saying I live a perfect life, but I haven't been hit with anything where I'm like, man, wish I could undo that.
I wish I had it's not the biggest thing, but I wish I had started reviewing many years earlier.
Yeah.
Because obviously they've done well, and I feel that I haven't really changed. I would have done the same style of review you see me do today 10 years prior to starting. Right. Like, this is the way I talk to friends. And that success when it was a bigger deal and when YouTube was a little more free and could have got that popularity, where now there's a lot of chaff, a lot of fucking noise.
It's really hard to know.
So that would probably, I mean, I think one is like I wasn't close to my grandpa as much as I would have liked, I guess. Mm-hmm. I've talked about that before in other podcasts, where like that would probably be the one, is where, because I was young and doing stupid stuff. I mean, I have a lot of regrets of dumb shit I did, but real ones, that's probably one of them. Those two, one affecting business and just my well-being in life, and the other, losing out on a family member quicker than I would have, liked.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like family members I wish I were a little bit closer with, but I just know, realistically speaking, like the circumstances of where our families were located and just how often we could see one another. It's like,
mine was just being a punk.
Yeah, I get that.
Yours is good. Yours is good and teaches stuff. Mine is to fucking don't be a punk. Just don't be a punk, man. They can go at any time. You have no fucking clue. And I don't follow this advice, by the way. Still.
I mean, hey, you know what, dude?
I say it,
punk
and then
on the web.
My parents will be like, "You want to come visit us?" And I'll be all, "Yeah, I'll get there." Which is a bad idea, but shit, life gets in the way, and you're like, "I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow." But I'm going to tell you, at some point, there's no tomorrow, and that can suck dick. For sure.
I agree. Last question comes from J-Pat once more. Question 4. He doesn't say Karak. He says, for kayak. Side note, yes, this is a poorly worded question. Just for you, because I want an excuse to call you Kayak. Do you see companies like Sony and Microsoft in the near future leaning into internet providers for faster and more stable internet connections so they can transition easier into a no-disc generation? This is all you, man. I would not know if that's even possible.
Yeah, no. They won't.
They won't.
They can't, technically. Yeah, there's... there's...
It's like an edge in the market, right? Like, I don't even know if that's allowed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brazil has a tiered internet where they're allowed to go, like, gamer internet where you get faster. You can do that in America, but there's all kinds of laws against it and stuff. And I just don't see Microsoft or Sony doing it. They're just going to piggyback on whatever we get. And that's why Microsoft has made it clear that the Scarlet, and probably at least one, if not two consoles after Scarlet. I'll just say this. Until PCs all become on the net, there will always be a console. Most likely.
Yeah.
There will be console manufacturers who go streaming, like Stadia and stuff. I also think Stadia is going to be a disaster in one weird way. I told you about this, where like, if you go to Google, now there's just going to be a link where the first link is go to Stadia for everything you search. Once Stadia is up and running, they can do that. There's nothing that says they can't. That'll be a disaster. And then I think that like that amount of bandwidth is going to hurt other things. Like, we're going to see some weird stuff when everybody goes streaming. The amount, for example, I lived through GTA 5's release trailer, and that killed our work internet because so many people were watching it. Our work internet, yeah. And you go online and look at the internet health, and it was red because so many people were watching it. That's one game. Imagine if you have 4 or 5 big games and a bunch of people are streaming. I don't think Microsoft can force anybody, and there's really nothing they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, what would they do? Like,
I think it's just about waiting for more people across the world to have internet. I think a lot of us
Exactly.
do, but I think it's a lot less globally than people would like to imagine. And so I think once we get to that point, you'll see a transition. I don't think the diskless stuff is as close as we think, but
yeah, me neither.
It's definitely coming.
Well, you mean from the major 3, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I do think others will try it. Yeah.
Absolutely. They'll like not produce the disc and maybe launch it at $50 or something like that. And that'll be interesting to see, but I don't think it'll be like the major 3 will say, okay, this console does not have a disc drive. You know, put it this way, these consoles have such a long shelf life, and the new ones are coming with a disc drive. I don't think they're going to put it in there, spend the time manufacturing it for them to drop it halfway through. At least that's how I view it personally.
And remember, a disc drive is I think it's only like $4 to add per unit anyway. So you might as well put one in there so you can watch your Blu-rays.
Okay, then maybe I'm wrong on that. Yeah.
No, you're right. I'm saying that backs it up, that it's only $4, so they'll keep putting it in. There's no reason, if you take it out, why are you like, really, you're just you're just harming your user base. If you're like, hey, there's still a disc drive in here, then your old games or your Blu-rays all play on it.
True.
I mean, even PS4 wasn't a Blu-ray player for a while, and people were pissed about it. So, matter of fact, wait a minute. I don't think PS4 still plays Blu-rays, does it? No,
really?
It doesn't. Isn't Blu-ray? Is it PS3 or PS4? Oh, it's PS3.
PS3 and 4 did play Blu-ray. I remember because I used to.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, because I remember when I used to the newer PS3s.
What am I thinking?
Because whenever I went to watch Game of Thrones when I first got it, my PS3 was like my viewing machine. Yeah, because Xbox can't read Blu-ray.
So it must have been PS3 at first, but I do remember one of the big ones didn't, and people were like,
PS3 had to be a Blu-ray player because their discs were always
the Blu-ray style.
Yeah, they were always Blu-ray. And I remember,
I don't see. I
remember that for some weird reason. I don't even know if this is true. But I was excited when I got my PS3 because the guy at GameStop, this is why I say I don't know if it's true, but this is when I was younger, he said that you can't really, like, damage, I put this in quotes, a Blu-ray disc. Like, you could kick it, you could, like, scratch it up, and it would still work. And I was like, I don't know if that really makes sense.
Nah, he's full of shit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Matty, you can't damage a Blu-ray player.
I was like, even as a kid, I was like, that doesn't make sense. And I've always carried it with me thinking, I wonder.
Yeah.
And so I've always had this awkward, deeper trust with Blu-ray discs since my PS3. But,
maybe he meant like the coating on it. But have you ever had before we go, have you ever had a CD or Blu-ray DVD rot? Because there's a thing called rot. So you can see it. I have old discs from like 10 years ago. And if you look at them in the light, you can actually see them degrade. They'll start to separate, and you'll start getting read errors on. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And it's supposed to take a long time, but it can happen depending on humidity. And it's just called like Blu-ray or DVD rot, and it just starts to impact your ones and zeros on the disc.
Gotcha.
But I think what he probably meant was that they were coated specifically to like make sure they don't get air on it, oxidization, which is the #1 killer.
Yeah.
And he probably meant, they're just more durable, which I would assume they are.
Hell if I remember. I was very young.
That's funny though. Because when he's like, you can kick it, I'd be like, dude, I wouldn't be kicking my fucking Uncharted.
I remember
4 disc.
specifically, you could kick it, you could rub it in the dirt, it'll still work. That's I remember that specifically.
I'll have to look that. It's interesting though, if like that was it might have been a rumor at the starting. You know how it is with Sony stuff too.
Yeah, this was when it was 2008, 7. That's when I got my PS3.
Oh, yeah, crazy.
Man. Yeah.
I wonder what the fuck he meant.
wish I could go back. I don't even know what the guy looks like. People at GameStop couldn't stand me because I used to like go in there with like $80 of used games and keep returning them and recycling them, and so like.
And getting another game.
Yeah. And when I came in, like one time the guy was like, "What do you want?" Like, yeah, he couldn't stand the fact that I was just rigging the system, even though he was just like a cashier there. Like he just hated the idea that I was just poisoning the pool of GameStop.
It's their system.
Yeah.
Like, if you allow it to be rigged like that.
And especially when you have 3 reasons that at the time that you could return it for. It was like, game didn't work, something else, and did not like it. And I'd always be like, yeah, I didn't like it. Even though I'd be like, this game's great. I'm going to go return it and get a new one. Like,
speaking of that, I don't know if you saw, Death Stranding is on GameSpot's, or GameStop's you guaranteed to like it list.
Very risky.
I think it's 48 hours.
48 hours, and you can return it at full price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just saw it on Reddit right before we started, and because I don't know that system, but I saw it and I was like, "What's that even mean?" I was going to click on it, but that sounds like exactly what you're talking about.
That is a bold move, GameStop.
Bold move.
Probably not the ideal target there. You know, maybe do like a Jedi Fallen Order. I think that you stand a better chance, but who knows how long that game is.
Oh, right. How long, before we go, I'm guessing 10 to 12 for Jedi
I'll say 20. I feel like these games always end up being longer because I feel like the multiple planets and stuff, and they said that you can go back and look for collectibles. So story-wise, 15.
Okay.
You know, I think extra collectibles and exploration, tack on another 5. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
If it's longer than that, that's a little too much in my opinion.
Yeah, it might be too long for that kind of game.
We also got to remember it's Respawn. Like, think of how long Titanfall's campaign is. I think 15 hours might be.
Well, Titanfall was 0, right? Because they had no single player. It's Titanfall 2, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Titanfall 2. Yeah, you're right. That was like boot up screen. Congratulations.
Yeah,
you're just like,
beat the
whoa, fuck. It was good though.
Yes.
Short.
As long as it's good, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
That's our last set of questions, though, from the patrons.
Excellent.
Thank you guys so much for getting involved. If you got this far in the show and you want to let us
get
know,
involved.
Hashtag get involved. There we go.
We'll just go with it.
Yeah, there we go. Tag myself. Tag Karak. I am at G27Status. Karak is at Jeremy Penter. Tag any of us on Twitter, or both of us preferably, and say hashtag get involved. And we'll know it's you. We know how far you listened. And we appreciate you. We got to shut this down. I can't talk.
And don't cheat, you bastards, because we'll check. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, yes. We're on to you.
We'll start doing queries about what we said halfway through.
Yes.
Like, what did we talk about this?
Yeah, and tell us what news topic number 2 was.
That's so shitty.
Got to make sure they're fully engaged. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
We appreciate you, and we will catch you guys next week with episode 227. Peace out.
Peace out.